no one knew that the ship had gone down on the outside world. You were all alone and no one knew about it.
That's right. No one knew is not necessarily the case. SOSs went out and they were ignored. We prove it in the book, but basically no one is looking for us. It wasn't until 4.5 days later when the first survivor was picked up. USS Indianapolis, and of course word goes out everywhere, you know. The Indianapolis had been lost, but it's too late.
So then you're there with a few people that were still surviving and in the waters for those few days, and the numbers that you're gathered with are dwindling each day.
Right.
And how did you sustain yourself in those conditions?
Well, you know, you're just praying constantly if you knew to whom you were praying. And the third day at noon, there was only 17 of us. And we were seeing planes flying over 30,000 feet, bombing Tokyo, but who's looking for us? We don't know. And we know that we cannot make it unless we can get close enough to the Philippines that someone would spot us. And so we're having a prayer time, I mean desperate, because we know that we can't make it. By now our Capon jackets are gone. We still have them on, but we're having to swim all the time, and it's difficult to even keep your head out of the water. So we take them off and we sit in them, and now we're having to still keep ourselves erect or we're pitched in the water. And we've had a prayer time, and I can hear this one old sailor now pray, God, if you're out there, I don't want to die. We have to have help. I've got a son back home that I've never seen. And so we're desperate. And then after a little season of prayer, all of a sudden we looked and said, look, 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 there's a raft. And there was a raft. And we could yell at them, to us in English, and it isn't long till they are coming into our group. And so we could see there's a little raft, 5 sailors around it, no one on the raft. And so it isn't long till they came into our group, but what we saw on the raft was the one thing that we desperately needed. They had taken Capon jackets off of boys already expired, and they had squeezed them out. You know, no sponge won't hold any more water, but if you squeeze it out, it will. And so they came into our group, and that little raft consisted of 2 40-millimeter ammunition cans and some old slatted potato crates or slatted orange crates. And they had put Capon jackets off of boys already expired and squeezed them out. Now they're drying out. So here, you know, as an angel from heaven, we have new, or at least Capon cloth jackets. And so we exchanged jackets. And now they ask if any of you 17 want to go with us. We've got to get close enough to the Philippines. I say to my buddy Spooner, I said, Spooner, I'm going to go with him. He said, Harrell, if you go, I'm going with you. And so here 2 Marines joined 5 sailors. We think that we're going to swim to the Philippines, or at least closer to the Philippines. We didn't know there's another 500 miles, but we joined them. And here we're plugging away. It isn't long. We've left the 15 sailors. And now, later in that afternoon, we came up on a swell, 8, 10-foot swell. And I said, look, 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 there's some debris out there. It looks like an old crate. Wonder what that could be. And I said, I'm going to swim out and get it, and the sharks might get you. I said, no, we haven't seen any sharks in the last hour. And here I'm plugging away, and I get out closer and closer to that old crate. And all of a sudden, I see those Irish potatoes floating in that. And in desperation, I get hold of that first potato. But kind of in the agony of defeat, it was rotten. As that rot squeezed through my fingers, I thought, rotten potatoes. But then it was solid on the inside. And I took my hands and peeled out, and then peeled it with my teeth, and it was solid on the inside. So I have a little bit of food and a little bit of water. And then I filled my dungaree pockets full of half-rotten potatoes, swimming back to my buddies with the crate with still more potatoes. And what is it? Rotten potatoes. And they left the raft and they joined me, and we had a little feast with nothing but potatoes.
Right. I love the details that you put in the book are just, they fill in all the blanks, and I think we're gonna, even when we go off the air, we're gonna have you keep talking, and we're gonna put this extended interview on Crossroads 360, so make sure you go on to Crossroads 360 to get the whole story. But because of time, we're gonna have to jump ahead a little bit.
Well, the rescue, how were you found? Just very briefly.
Providence of God is how we were found. the fourth day, only 2 of us, a Navy lieutenant and myself. There had been one with us an hour before, but I saw what I'd seen many, many times. And I often say, it's much easier to die than it is to live. You have to work to live, but you can just give up. And I saw this sailor, and he was willing to just let his head drop in the water. And I shook him. He responded. The second time, the same thing. The third time, it's too late. Just McKissick and myself. And by now, I'm losing it too. He was Uncle Edwin. I called him Uncle Edwin. And so all of a sudden, I hear a plane. Look, 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 I see a plane. I see a plane. And we waved and we splashed water. We yelled, and here he's flying at, let's say, 4,000 feet. And all of a sudden, thank you, Lord, look, he sees us. He's coming in, and he was coming in. Let me take you back up there, though. He had not seen us. Impossible for him to see us. Flying at 4,000 feet, looking forward to him, say 4 miles, out of his peripheral vision, 2.5 miles on each side, 20 square miles. And to see a man's head down here 6 by 8 inches, no. But Gwen was having problem with his radio antenna, that trailer trailing behind that aircraft. The stabilizer had come off, and he says to the co-pilot, take over, I'm going to go aft and pull that in and put a sock or something on it. As he did that, and as he opened the bomb bay door, he just glanced down at a flash, and the sun hitting the oil off of our clothing and the debris in the water was like the little Boy Scout's mirror. He saw that, and to him, that was a submarine down there. He rushed back to take over controls, and the crew says, what is it? And they knew that he saw something. He says, look down there. Well, he gets on the speaker, and he says, load the bombs. Load the bombs. We think he sees us. He saw the oil slick, and he's coming in to bomb. Bombs loaded, but as he gets down in the 1,000-foot mark, all of a sudden he sees sharks, sharks, sharks. He sees boys. And so I see him today. It's very plain. I see him flying over me down at just a few hundred feet. I can see his visage in that plane, and he circles a few times, and then he goes up. And then I wonder, why is he going up? I've talked to him many times. He said, I had to get back up before I could reach back in Palau to announce ducks on the pond. Now, who's ducks? They don't know. But he reaches back Palau and gets in touch with Adrian Marks, a PBY pilot. Hour and a half later, 150 miles later, Marks comes on the scene. Gwen is still there, but he's running out of fuel. He says, I've got to get back to Palau. I'm running out of fuel. And Marks comes on the scene.
And he's the one, it's his plane where everyone, or many of you, are loaded onto the plane. The story of him even landing in the ocean is amazing. And we're going to keep talking when we go off the air about that story. And we've got more pictures to share. I mean, this is an amazing story. But the bottom line is God was with you in the midst of this harrowing situation. You felt his presence. You knew he was with you.
I knew that all the time.
He delivered you, and that is the...
And I haven't forgotten it yet today either.
And we can
realize that.
We can tell. Praise God.
Every breath that I breathe today.
Praise God.
And someone today watching is just hearing your story, that they're just saying, wow, maybe I'm not, you know, in the middle of shark-infested waters in the Pacific,
literally.
But I'm in my life, I'm going through a very difficult time, and I need help. I need a rescue. And Jesus could do that today even for someone watching. And so we want to encourage you that whatever it is you're going through, cry out to God. We'll pray with you. Call our prayer line, 1-866-273-4444. We'd love to pray with you. Edgar, thank you.
Thank you,
so much for being here.
Crossroads 360, we're going to keep the conversation going. Make sure you tune in there.